What's up? Mello here. It's been quite a while since I last made a video in this format, and I think it's the right time to do so. As many of you already know, I had a lot of struggles with my production equipment since October. I'd lost around 700 gigabytes worth of projects and other files thanks to a faulty Windows 11 update. My other projects got corrupted, my computer started acting erratically, and quite frankly a lot of personal stuff as well. But yeah, my computer started just to not work the way it should. So I said, okay, I'm gonna format it now that I've lost all the files. It's like I cannot even run Windows anymore because it's corrupted. So yeah, I tried other Windows versions such as Windows 10 IoT LTSC Enterprise, which is supposedly a lot more stable and a very lightweight version of it, but it just kept updating itself despite my many attempts at disabling updates through CMD, registry, PowerShell, group policy, and even WinAero tweaker. But no, it just refused. It installed these updates. It just kept installing the updates, and well, he basically told me to fuck off. So I also tried Reunion 7, which is Windows 10 IoT LTSC with the look and feel of Windows 7, which, let's be honest, is pretty. But it was very slow and very unstable, so it made no sense for me. Then I tried the real thing, the good old Windows 7, which ran absolutely fine. It ran pristine, almost pristine. It was almost perfect. But most of the apps I used have a lot of compatibility issues or just straight up do not run at all. Because yeah, Windows 7 is pretty old by now. It was from 2009 and it's been quite some years now. And of course the security risks and shit. You know the deal. Then I tried Windows 8.1, which to my surprise it ran even faster than Windows 7 for some reason. But the app and the driver compatibility is even worse than Windows 7, so, to the trash. Then I tried switching to Linux. The smartest option. Just grab some Linux distro, put it in a USB, install it to your hard drive or your SSD if you have one, and there you go. There it is. Sometimes you don't even have to install it, just grab it, put it on a USB, and there you go. But guess what? After 5 to 20 minutes of usage, it would just kernel panic or even freeze out of nowhere. So it was basically unusable on this computer. I tried so many distros, so many flavors. I even went to the task of installing Arch Linux, and oh my god, it also froze. I thought, okay, maybe the drivers and shit. I installed everything I could to make it run. But no. 5 to 20 minutes, gone. Kernel panics, freezing, stuttering, or just straight up turning off. So I said, okay, that's the computer, that's not the system. That was not the OS, that was definitely the computer. So I said, okay, I'm a grown-ass, low-budget animator. I think I know what's the best option. So I decided to make the biggest change to my workflow. I bought an iMac. An Intel one, actually. And yeah, before you begin criticizing this decision, because I know you guys, you're gonna start throwing shit at me. No, let me speak. Let me tell you. I have to address this. Yes, you can game on a Mac. Yes, the performance is amazing and sometimes even impressive. Yeah, you can run Windows on it since it uses an Intel CPU. Yes, you can migrate from Windows to macOS with no effort. Yes, you can install downloaded apps. And yes, I have not changed the software I use since most of it is available here too. And let me tell you, my experience has been way better than I expected. Why am I telling you this? Simple. I wanted to share my experience with both systems as a Windows user since 2010. It's been a while. How does this affect the channel? Oh, it's getting better. Let me tell you why. I didn't just grab a random iMac from Marketplace. No, I carefully chose the right one for my needs and my budget, and I actually ended up getting a better deal than I expected. This is a 2017 27-inch iMac with a quad-core 7th Gen Intel Core i7 processor at 4.2 GHz. That's fast. Not modern fast, but pretty fast. Does the job. It really does the job. 32 GB of DDR4 RAM, which is upgradable for up to 64 GB. And you keep saying Macs are not upgradable. Fuck you. 500 GB of PCI Express SSD, which is pretty darn fast, a 5K 27-inch display, and an AMD Radeon Pro 580 GPU with 8 GB of VRAM. It's pretty beefy if you consider the fact this was pretty damn cheap. It's got 4 USB 3.0 ports and 2 Thunderbolt 3 USB-C ports, an SD card slot, and a headphone jack, you know, the average computer thing. Oh, and it also features a webcam, an internal microphone, and very impressive internal stereo speakers. By the way, the internal microphone is pretty decent. I'm using that right now. This is, of course, overkill for drawing silly things and animating lesbians, but the difference comes with the rendering. Thanks to this beautiful piece of aluminum, I can render my animations and edit video in 4K without having to worry about my computer freezing or just slowing itself down like which also means my workflow and productivity has improved a lot. Let me tell you, a lot. Let's keep in mind the specs I used to work with, okay? My previous computer was a 10-core Intel Xeon E5-2630B4, which ran at 2.4 GHz with a 2.7 GHz turbo boost. It's not that fast. 16 GB of single-channel ECC DDR4 RAM, which is server RAM. It is quite slow, but it's not really noticeable, except for the fact that it was just 16 GB and not 32. But the biggest problem was the GPU. This was an NVIDIA GeForce GT710 with 2 GB of VRAM, which, let me tell you, it was not compatible with the latest version of DaVinci Resolve, which is the software I use to edit my videos. Oh yeah, and the monitor was an XP Pen Artist 12 2nd Gen drawing tablet. I was using that thing as a monitor. Imagine staring at a 12-inch monitor for hours and hours. It was not good. It was not good. Like, that thing is obviously just made for drawings and shit. Oh my god, my eyes. I made it work for a year. I made wonders with that shit. You know how long it took for the computer to render this particular scene from Ramos Daily Life 3.5 using the CPU, since Blender could not use the graphics card to render it. It took almost half an hour. 1080p. Half an hour. So when I got this thing, I said, okay, I'm gonna render it again and let me see how long it takes. Boy, oh boy. 8 minutes. It rendered this shit in 8 minutes. It doesn't sound like, oh, that's a whole lot of difference. But here is the thing. The Xeon computer, which was using the CPU to render this whole 3D thing, was rendering it at 1080p, while the iMac was rendering it at 4K. Now you see where I'm going with this. That's how much of a production beast this thing is. Granted, this thing is old for Apple standards and, you know, it reached the end of support in 2022, but this does not mean you cannot use it. There are also ways to use later macOS versions of these through patching, but that's another topic. Even if you don't want to use the OCLP route, you can still install Windows or Linux instead of the base macOS, thanks to the fact that this is an Intel-based Mac. Hell, you can even go the Bringers route and install SteamOS on it. Dedicated wham. Oh, and let's talk about gaming on this. Oh boy, while macOS isn't very well known for having huge library of games, there are still some you can play on an Intel-based Mac like mine. Tomb Raider 2013 is one of those. It's a native macOS game and it runs beautifully, even at 4K. It fucking runs at 4K! 4K! 30 FPS! How? How the fuck is this thing able to do that? Oh yeah, Switch games at 4K is something I never thought I would see with my own eyes. But hey, I am here playing Mario Kart 8, which I of course own and I of course am not emulating. Wink wink. Life is Strange is another good example of the performance this gives through its native OS. Like, oh, sweet. But let's say you want to play Windows games. You know, you have Steam, but there's no Proton compatibility like on Linux. So what the fuck do? There are two ways, plus an extra one exclusive for Intel Macs. And this also applies to regular Windows apps, not just games. The first and most popular way is using an app like Crossover, a paid app that uses Wine to translate Windows instructions and APIs to run them on another OS, which in this case is macOS. The biggest problem is compatibility, since not every app runs flawlessly or even run at all. But most of the games I've tried run like a charm. Another problem is the amount of configuration you have to do just to get a particular game or app to run, just to see the other ones break. But hey, I played the shit out of the Simpsons hit and run game here. Level 3 looks beautiful in 5K. Oh my god, Marge. The second one, which is a little drastic, involves virtual machines. In this case, the most popular app is Parallels Desktop, which is also a paid app that lets you virtualize Windows, Linux, or other operating systems, and provides some very cool integration features. The biggest problem this has is the amount of resources it needs just to boot up, and the performance loss of every single app. Seriously, it's not my recommendation. And the third one, which only applies to the Intel-based Macs. Just use Boot Camp. Yeah, just use that, bro. It's not that deep. Boot Camp Assistant is an integrated app that lets you partition your drive to install Windows on it. It's simple to use, it's built in so you don't have to download another app, and you don't have to worry about performance nor drivers because this thing runs natively on your Mac, and Boot Camp downloads and installs the drivers as soon as you boot into Windows for the first time. Why is it only for Intel Macs? Okay, that's a very long topic, but in shorter terms, that's because of the architecture. Apple Silicon Macs use a proprietary ARM-based chip, which works in a whole different way and uses custom CPU instructions that the x86 processors or even other ARM-based chips don't have, which makes it way harder for Windows, even the ARM version, to run. There is a Linux alternative for Apple Silicon Macs, but that is a whole different thing. Anyways, after almost 16 years of me dealing with Windows corrupting itself, malware, noisy fans, or my hardware just destroying itself thanks to a stupid update or a random blue screen, I finally have some peace and quiet with this iMac. And it feels good. The only compromise for me was to leave just modern gaming aside, but even then, I got the boot camp option, so it's fine. Besides, I don't even game that much anymore, so this is a very important step up for the channel, since thanks to this piece of junk, I'll be able to provide you guys with better, higher quality content, and probably more often. That's the end of the video. I just wanted to share my thoughts on this and how sick I am of Windows. Thank you guys for watching. See you later. Stay tuned. Goodbye.